Greetings, people. Welcome to the weekly show. How y'all doing today on this fine Wednesday? Sorry about last week. I don't know what the hell came over me. I had to miss the show. Don't know why. Don't know where. Don't know how. You know how things get. Sometimes you just gotta miss a show. Didn't really mean to do that. I don't know what happened actually. Got sidetracked by doing more stuff for the other shows. And the other shows are coming along nicely. If you guys followed along, it's pretty good amount of shows there that we had. We'll continue to do those runs. Pretty good videos we're posting up. Like to urge you members, keep on putting them up, keep on flying. Anybody else who wants to post, be my guest. We welcome the videos. Good to see y'all here. Good to see y'all flying, and good to hear some stories. Getting into it, I was kind of wondering as to well, Ukraine, come on, baby! Ukraine's got to win this, man. Everybody believes in them, and nobody believes in the Russians. Stay strong, guys. Stay strong. Hey, man, that price of the ticket came down, by the way, only $613. Telling you, man, Chicago to Warsaw. People, we can do this. If you ever wanted to be a mercenary without being a mercenary, now is the time. It's like, it's a beautiful thing. It's like you can go over there, possibly ride a tank, definitely shoot a gun, get a chance to kill people. If you thought you could, you could. I'm not saying go for it. All I'm just saying, all you cheating ass motherfuckers think it's so cool that you get multiple lives in Call of Duty, well, why don't you do the real thing once in your life? Well, man, I'm thinking I'm going to buy myself a ticket. Seriously. You may not hear from me later on, but it just sounds so appealing. Anywho, again, we appreciate the flights. Any of y'all got, any issues naming your planes? You ever come across, I don't know if, I saw this one. There's videos out there. You run across planes that have the same names, of course, because you're going to. I mean, I don't know how many kinds of planes there are out there. Okay, right? There's got to be a lot of them, right? And you probably run across these issues where, you see the name and you're like, God damn, that's my plane. Wait, no, it's not my plane. Oh, it's somebody else's plane. Oh, what did they do? And you wonder, after you see it, you're like, well, what could I have done differently? What could I have done? What made this plane, right? So, I don't know if you come across any, naming conventions and you come through them. And we had talked about this in previous shows, mentioned how if you have a name for a plane and you want to stick with something, why is this having such a problem? God, I'm just chewing it up. Might as well just cut a straight line in there. Yeah, this is dumb. Anyway, if you have a problem with the naming thing, I just wonder, there's so many options you can go through. You don't have to stick to any kind of, parameter that you have. I mean, obviously, they're your designs, and this is the closest thing you can come to actually have a your design flight. I mean, it's your design, and you can choose to do whatever it is you want to do with it. Thereby, the naming is obviously, paramount. It's the highest point. So, you get there, and then you get stalled because, well, there's so many good names, and how many different planes am I going to have? And will I come back to this name, or will I come back to this plane, and don't want to come across it? What if it sucks? Obviously, you don't have to name it straight off the gate. I don't know if any of you guys have that problem, where, oh man, it's cool. I designed this. I haven't flown it yet. But I'm going to call this the Heathrow or whatever. You know what I mean? Just it comes out. So, you get the name, you think it's hot, and then you fly it and it sucks. So then you don't want to waste a good name on it. Well, again, whatever stage of the plane build that you get to, be it a dead design, or a stillborn design, or an aborted design, or what have you. It doesn't matter when you name it. It's just it's up to you, of course, but don't ever let it, don't succumb to it. Don't get to the point where you don't know what you think you're going to name it just because you haven't seen it fly, or maybe you like the way it looks and you think it looks a certain way, so you're going to call it that, and then it flies like crap. You throw it out well, I'm never building that piece of crap again. It's not that. It's not. You can't limit yourself that way. I don't think. You gotta look forward. You gotta look for more. And it's all about the look. I think in our case, I think if you build your own, because it is your own, I think there's only really two major points to it. There's only what it looks like and how it flies. I mean, seriously, like those are the two things that are going to give you the name. I mean, because if it sucks, you're not going to keep it. If it looks like horrible crap, I mean, it might fly great, looks like horrible, and you may still not want to waste a really cool name on something that looks like that, you know. It goes both ways. It may fly like crap, it may look like crap. Either way, you know, you got a plane that you might not want to waste a cool name on for whatever reason. So, but you don't get stuck on what I'm thinking of, like, if you're having issues with it. It's like, don't get stuck on something that sounds cool, looks cool. You just want to call it the Storm, you call it the Storm, if you keep it. But don't get stuck on just names. I mean, there's a wide variety of things we could do, and there's a wide variety of, obviously, like, not just Air Forces, but I mean, we have, because of what they are, they could be boat names, they could be mountain names, they could be anything. It doesn't really matter. You know, you can't just, you don't have to stick it to something like that, and they can, don't even have to be individual aircraft. Like, it's a class, it's a type, it's a flight, it's a whatever it is. I mean, like, that's the whole thing. I mean, what if they're not named? What if it's like a Type 33 and you're like, okay, we're going to call it this, but it's really a Type 33. It's Project 1. You know, whatever they happen to be. However you get stuck on it, just remember that it really ultimately is up to you, and don't narrow it down just because you came up with something and you're going to call it that. I mean, there's so many options. I bring that up because, of course, I came up with the 332 just because of the date it was born in the calendar year. I saw well and good, and keep in mind the IVPAC calendar year. So that's why I was, when it was. But just make sure, like everything else we like to talk about, expand your horizon, expand your thinking. Don't just include. Don't just be limiting yourself to just a certain name or whatever and call it like the Steve. Man, I got 3 Steves out there. Go out there with 5 Steves, came back with 3 Steves. I'm missing 2 Steves. Where the hell did they go? See, it gets boring after a while, but you have certain ones like that. And trust me, I'm living that myself in certain cases because I've like kept myself in the phase line for so long, and it's been in existence for so long. It's like, oh God. Sometimes it gets boring, but it also, you cross the line to, like, it's well known, it's iconic, it's renowned, so you may want to hold on to it. Or in the case of cool sounding or cool flying, and everybody knows it for whatever reason. But it's more than that. It's not just that. It also lends itself to whether or not what you're gonna do after the fact. We always talk about variations and different types and subvariants and stuff like that. So you got to know what you're going to do with it beyond that. Whether you're going to letters, numbers, marks, types, whatever it is. You want to dash. You got to make it sure it lends itself to borrowing those, so that when it builds on from something like that, you know where it's going to go. It's something to keep in mind. It's something to keep in mind. I don't think you should get stuck on it. I don't think you should. And obviously, you could borrow other names that you come across. You don't have to just because somebody else has a Falcon doesn't mean you can't have a Falcon. You can use a Falcon, but it gets so you could get so stymied on something simple like that. That's really kind of what I was thinking of when I come across as a topic. Is like, don't let yourself get stymied with the simple things. You don't have to just I can't fly. I can't think of a name for the plane. Don't ever let yourself get to that. So. It's really cool to see everybody's. It's so cool to look out there and see everybody's ideas for what they're going to come across. Anyway, so yeah. Actually, had something to go with that, but I'm like, I don't know. Obviously, you can come up with different like styles of names. It's not just that. You can come up with acronyms that mean something. You can come up with. Obviously, I've got the phases. You can come up with alliteration, like I had mentioned before too, where. In IVPAC, you've got members that actually have planes that attack and fight, or strike and fight, or an airlift, and maybe you just want to stick with, like, all of my strikers are going to start with the letter V. So you have to just think of that. So many potential. Or all the planes that I ever build are always going to start with a J. You know what I mean? Like, possibilities are in this. Just don't lock yourself down. So how about what's going on in the world? Man, oh my God. I obviously got some more flight videos posted up there. I've got some major developments, and I really want to wait till our other show to do that. And I apologize. I'm totally meant to have that other show and some of those how to builds up, but like I'm still having freaking problems with the development of the show. I guess you would call that production. I have a script and everything like that, but I'm working on the production. And I really hate the fact that the production takes so damn long. I don't want the production to take so damn long, but it is, and it's cutting into our stuff, and I apologize for that. It's got to be something more than what it is. So, but more shows are coming, and news is coming out of me or whatever, but it's ironic that, like, some of the things I was going to talk about on the show are coming to pass in real life. And one of those things I was thinking about is, I don't know if y'all have heard this, but the budget request for the United States military has just passed recently. And they got like budget numbers out, and obviously there's a slight increase across the board. It's like 4% or something like that, 4 to 14% depending on the armed services. But I thought it was a travesty of all sorts when the Air Force wants to divest certain airframes. They want to add some, they want to subtract some, they want to subtract more, and of course the A-10 is usually looked upon because it's what it is. And I mean, like, you're obviously dealing with a whole bunch of pilots in the higher echelons of the service, including right on up to the secretary, the deputy of the secretary of the Air Force and whatnot, who are in position and thinking like they're everybody acknowledges the fast plane, so the A-10 gets no love, but it's I don't understand the line of thinking behind that. We can't. Nothing you build is obviously totally indestructible. Anything can be shot down if it's shot down. And I'm thinking along the lines of the Air Force was talking about divesting F-22s. They want to purchase more F-35s, of course, but that's really the basic only ongoing buy, although they do have to allocate money to the B-21. So you're looking at the F-35s. They want to divest F-22s already. And I'm thinking, like, my God, dude, seriously? They're talking anywhere from, like, 22 to 42. The first set of airframes, and the ones that they're referring to, the ones that are only not combat coded but training coded, the ones from Tyndall. I'm getting deep into this, but I'm just remembering it. And all I'm thinking of is, like, you fast jet movers that still want to put the A-10 to bed, but I swear to God, you would not give two shits if the A-10 got shot down. But if the F-35 got shot down, they'll be up in arms and stuff like that. And exactly that is why you still need the A-10. You want all the fancy whiz-bang, more bang for your buck, that's something going to put us or you or whatever out of freaking money. Military going to go bankrupt, but yet you're wanting to spend the money on that and put to bed the ones that you wouldn't give a crap. I fail to understand the line of thinking there. I don't understand also, like this F-22, like I don't get why you reduce the buy 3 different times to get it to the number it was when you really want to replace an older airframe 1-to-1. So you figure the maintenance cost, the potential of losing them is all right, that you can just go ahead and, like, say, screw it, about 30 F-22s are going to retire, instead of retiring something like the F-15Cs. I mean, we don't have any more A's. We have C's. But C's are still 35 to 40 years old on average. They ain't young chickens by any stretch of the imagination. And even the F-22s, these are the eldest of the eld that they're talking about retiring. But it's like, they're still not that, they're not that old. And they say, like, it's going to cost us too much. What's cost? What do you care? You don't, like, this is not, you people, the problem with that is you people throw this money, quote unquote, about, like, you don't physically see it, so you don't acknowledge it. If you had a stack of money in front of you to acknowledge the $187 million it's going to cost to build and fly just one of these planes, you can actually get a physical sense of, wow, that's a lot. And then see the $43 million it costs to build and fly a single other bird, like F-22 versus the A-10. But again, you're talking dimes and donuts. F-22 is not really comparable to the A-10. The F-35 is. But again, would they want an F-35 shot down to the price of an A-10? You know what I mean? Especially when the A-10 can take the battle damage and still probably make it back home, whereas the F-35, let's face it, probably can't. You had to cram so much crap into that airframe to get it to do its job, so that anytime you shoot, hell, you don't have to shoot it down. You just have to shoot a hole in it. That's already going to cost probably more than the cost of the A-10 is right now. So you see what I'm saying? The finances, man. But anyway, divesting F-22s. Like, dude, oh my God. Like, get rid of the F-15s. I know you guys are in love with the damn things, but for Christ's sake, if you're going to do that, you better have the NGADs ready to go. Like, seriously, they better be in production and going to squadrons in 5 years if you're going to start divesting F-22s. Because what are you going to do? Roll back to F-15s? I know the EX is coming out. By the way, stupid name. Should be the F-15G. HI, I don't care. Pick a letter. Just don't use 2. It's stupid. Whatever. I mean, obviously, you know, there is no military style of military naming anymore. There's one reason for naming it, and now they don't even do it. But, like, oh my God, I know it's kind of turning into a rant on that. And it pertains to us. It really does, because we're IVPAC. But it's just like, man, so many other options. You're going to re-engine the B-52. I love that crap. That's said with sarcasm. You're going to re-engine the 60-year-old plane, right? Finally decided to do it now that it's really actually seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You couldn't have done this 20, 30, 40 years ago that you're doing it now. Now that it's like, well, we've probably got about 20 years of life left. And we're going with our roadmap that we said we're going to retire it in 2040. But here we are in 2022. Haven't seen the first one yet, but we finally got it signed. So we might see the first one in the next 5 years. On its way out the door, assuming it retires in 2040. Because that was the plan. But again, 60 years, almost 70 years behind it before you finally re-engine it. This was feasible how? Man. It's embarrassing, like, how slow it takes anybody to do anything around here. Even looking back on the Super Hornets flight test, it's like, dude, I understand that there's obviously new stuff all throughout the plane and the flight regimes, but computers have gotten better. You can fly it on the simulators, you can fly it through CAD, you can design it through CAD, fly it through CAD, learn all about it before you have to do that. When you've got a base model already flying, it should not have taken that long. It should have been researched, designed, tested, and fielded in about 2 years, but it took us 7. Like, dude, what the fuck? Does it take a war to get you to, like, light the fire under some asses? I mean, like, dude, first of all, stop plugging all this money into one design. Why don't you cut the cost by a third so you can build 3 times the amount, if that's what you want, instead of building these golden BBs that you can't afford to get shot down or crash. Crash, even worse. Like, yeah, we can afford to do that. Man, dude, it's just so stupid. But anyway, divesting F-22s. Dumb. They were getting rid of, like, they're talking about, okay, obviously they're going to get rid of, like, some E8s and some E3s. Probably good bet. How the hell they've stayed out there this long, I don't know. A, you could probably do it with drones. B, you're doing it by satellite. They argued that with the SR-71 because, again, SR-71 lasted as long as it did because everybody loved an exotic look. I mean, it was a fast jet. I mean, it's the go fast for us, isn't it? But, like, dude, everything's time has come, and mostly every jet should be retired after 30 years. I mean, for real, especially if it's these regular combat. I'm looking at you, B-52, but I'm also looking at you, F-15s. And, yeah, again, loving the A-10, but, I mean, its replacement should look a lot like it, or at least be a prop job. Because, again, you get one shot down, you get an A-10 shot down versus F-35. I've already talked about it. Don't worry about it. You know what it means. The other thing I was looking at, though, I looked at the U.S. Navy submitted its proposal. It wants to scrap some ships. You know what ships it was talking about scrapping? The Independence and Freedom class. If you people don't know this, look this up. It's a littoral combat ship for us. They want to scrap, okay, they got 4 already scheduled and should be by the end of this month gone. And obviously the Freedom class has been bugging them all this time with good, so getting rid of them was with good reason, but they're also including the Independence class. They're still building these ships of these classes. It's ongoing. And they're going to scrap some? What? Surely you've got something back there old enough that's like, we don't barely use that anymore. I mean, I get it. There are certain things you find out in war college and through studies and through naval diplomacy as well as strategy that you look upon and see, the Marines are a great example. I believe one of their, amphibious ships they're going to retire a whole class that they just started not even 10 years ago. They're like, we're not building them, we don't need them anymore because our doctrine has changed. I get that, but man, from a person's point of view, holy shit, that's a big waste of money. You don't spend $350 million per ship and just say, we don't need it. It's not like it was in then amount of dollars. They weren't even 10 years old. Aren't even 10 years old. And again, with the littoral combat ships, we're still going to freaking build them. We're still building them. Keels are being laid. What? What? Oh my God. I'm not saying write your congressman, but God damn him, flip him off or something. This is ridiculous, man. I don't understand. I get it, this is how the world works, but I don't get that's how the world works. I digress. Where I'm going with this, though, is like, I have told you about that, I'm talking about retiring and scrapping certain amounts of my fleet, and was thinking about it, and I just mean like the numbers, more on this later, hopefully on the other show that hasn't launched yet, but it's coming. But if I sit here, for example, right now, if I sit here and build this plane, which I'll do, which I was trying to do, but I'm getting on this rant, and you sit here, you build this plane, there's another one to add to the number that I've got to subtract. And I don't have to subtract it. You've seen my factory. I've got a pretty good amount of planes on hand. By the way, that number has barely been reduced since you last saw it. It's substantial, but substantial probably to you guys, depending on how many you have. If you've seen how many I got hanging around, I don't know how many of you guys have that many hanging around, but suffice it to say, I have a box that's got over 70 planes in it that I plan on burning. And you could not tell by looking around in that same tour that I dropped 70 in that box. Because of stuff like this right here. Because of stuff I keep building at work. Because of stuff like this right here. I mean, every time I build one at work, another one should be added to the box. And I'm trying so very hard to get to no boxes on my wall, because those two boxes that are hanging on my wall, you didn't see them hanging on my wall, but they're hanging on my wall because that's all it takes. And the reason they're up there is because I need more line to hang the planes I got, which right now cover desks. And in case you see the videos, cats go crawling across the desk, and I can't have them on that. So I'm trying to cut back. It's so very, very hard. I don't need to fly them, but I do need to fly them. And, you can't just be attached, and I've grown attached, and I got to stop this crap. So I just need to, seriously, just go through them and say, did this one fly? No? Burn. I keep talking that, and yet here they sit. Basically, I really just need to have about 40 on hand of each type. And believe me, you guys think that's bad. And and you've seen my number, you've seen my sheets. You know that I fill most of the roles. I probably got more of the roles filled than any other member of IVPAC, except maybe OAE. And OAE had big news too. He's talking about retiring the Titans close of the month. Or actually, they might already be retired. That was his big news that was on that. OAE, I need to get a logo out of you. I forgot about that. We'll get into detail on that later. But again, just think about it. Hell, I can cut down to 10. I'd still have over 100 planes because I got 10 rolls that I fill out of 10 different aircraft. I'd still have 100 aircraft. Not my point. My point is I just need to get down. I mean, I'm still in 7 shoe boxes. I'm still in 4 hanging boxes. I still got the line, and the line is really all I'm supposed to have. So I need to stop being made up of so many phases. And I'm going to redo the line from what you saw, too. I just need to get the pulley system in place. But anywho, so it's tough to reduce, especially if you're going to build. And here I go. I hate myself sometimes. But it's these planes, you can't get attached. They're just paper planes. And obviously, that's what the Palace is for, too. So my challenge is bigger than a lot of other people. You people consider yourselves like NASA's likes to talk man, I wish I had planes that old. And it's nice having planes that old, including planes that I can consider warbirds because I can go out there and fly them. That's all well and good. But the thing about that is I have that much time I got to look back on the calendar, which is why I say keep a flight log and keep your planes numbered. I got to look back all through that time so I can figure out if there was ever any time that I flew that plane, that particular one, and it flew good. Because if it did, I want to keep it. If it didn't, I could burn it. No harm, no foul. And then there's always a situation of like, well, maybe I want to keep one from 2008 because I want to remember 2008. 10, 9, 10, 1989. I mean, it doesn't matter. That's the whole point. So, why did I do this? I want to build it this way. But this is my point with that, is like, it's, I shouldn't be, nobody should be that attached to whatever name, whatever plane that they've got. It's like, okay, it flew good. That's what you keep a Palace for. And we have what we call the Palace, the paper aircraft long-term active storage. It's just for planes that may potentially fly again. It's the whole reason we have them, but the point is they once flew good, really good. I mean, we kept them for a reason. That's the reason why, and that's why we have the Palace. And, like, God, I'm just not going to be happy with this no matter what I do. These planes, you should have one. You should have something like that. You should be ready to keep something like a Palace. That way you can put your well-remembered aircraft in there. And, of course, you can just... And then the other thing, the pad, you've heard me talk about that too, the pad, paper aircraft awaiting destruction. Typically a burn box, but can be something that you convert to drones so you can like shoot your interceptors at or play with your dogfighters with or whatever. Or as we have the PACES, the Paper Aircraft Combat Evaluation School. That's where we all stationed a plane or two over there at Copeland in South Carolina. And you send them out there to pit them up against the other planes. It's like Red Flag. It's like Top Gun, you know. It's a cool idea. I've been through it. I lived it. I loved it. You should definitely get yourself involved in something like that if you can. It's fun times to be had by all. But anyway, yeah. So there's that. Freaking lawmakers, I swear to God, freaking decision makers. Man. Don't get me started. I already got started. Don't get me finished. It's just ridiculous, man. So yeah, sorry, good show. Didn't mean to rant on it, but it really did kind of get into that. I've got these shows coming. I swear to God, I have not forgotten anything that I've talked about to any of you people ever yet. Obby, still want to get you the how to builds. I want to put the how to builds out there, but they've got to be the certain way, and my production is just... If I wasn't such a perfectionist, I think I've said it before, if I wasn't such a perfectionist, you'd have it already. But I keep second guessing myself. I keep like going over what I'm doing wrong, and I don't want to do that. And now flights are getting in the way. I mean, I got no problem with that, but you have to watch out for stuff like that. So anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the vids. Keep posting in the comments. Join us if you want. We're going to fly. I hope you guys fly. Stay safe out there. Better yourselves. Better your designs.